Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Setala,
And I'm Dr. K.
and we're here with an episode of Holistic Highlights. We have an incredible topic today because no matter what world you're in, what your reality is like, what your belief system is, words certainly have a power to them, no matter if you think there's energy behind them or not. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Dr. K came up with the topic, so I'll let you kind of start off and set the framework for how we're going to progress our talk today.
Well,
No pressure.
yeah, no pressure. I don't have a framework. I just, this
Well,
is, I mean, it's just the word, the line there says it all, the power of words there. I think this is another instance of bringing more awareness because what made me think of this too, I know we talked about it way back, but what made me think about it is every time I get on Facebook, there's the amount of anger right now and the amount of blame and finger pointing and verbal vomit is just how I'm going to call it. It's just wow. So, when we say things, you feel a certain way. And the way you can check this is you can put two palms out and say hate and say love and just check and see which feels heavier for you in your palm. Because when you say something, you already emit an energy, believe it or not. I know we can't see it, but just trust me on this and play with it. See which palm feels heavier. I actually want to slap those so we don't have the hate on there. But the words carry a frequency. We can get down to the science and nitty gritty of it and measure it with neurotransmitter levels in the brain and see how people feel when they say joy or when they say, you know, guilt or when they say sadness. When you say hate, you should feel like your field around you actually constricts. And when you say, I am really happy, how does that make you feel? When you say, I really hate milk, how does that make you feel? Like, if you really just get quiet, you can kind of feel yourself shrink or you can feel yourself expand. So it's within your field, it's within what we say to other people every time we use drop the F bomb and the S bomb and all these things. It's not great, guys. I know some people use that word. Wow. Like, I don't know, somebody friended me the other day and I was just scrolling through Facebook and he's effing this and effing that. And I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. So words actually carry an energy, and I wanted to talk about that and how it relates to health as well. Because when you say, I have diabetes, I have fibromyalgia, I have, you're embodying that. And there's actually a biochemical process that starts happening inside from the brain inside. And it's not something you see, but something you kind of feel. So this is really important. And we've been trained to say, I have, I need, and Hank's great at this. I know he's the word Nazi. So,
Pata.
so yeah, he'll have lots to contribute there for all of you to help you with this. But there are affirmations work great if you have the right energy. If you don't have the right energy underneath and you're just saying it, but inside it's not jiving. And maybe we should tie in beliefs into this too, because it is kind of a belief. Whatever you believe, you will create. And then when you put words on top of that, because of the belief, everything starts as a thought and then we say something. So when you already have those beliefs, you're already preceding everything and you're creating things in your life. So this is a very magical, powerful tool. It is magic, everybody. Yes, it's magic. So you can create a lot in your life just by the power of your words.
And just when you were talking about affirmations, when you're saying, like, I am a divine being, for example, you were giving the examples of people relating to their diseases saying, I have diabetes. You're reaffirming the thing that you probably want to change to the universe by saying, I have it. And so, like, really recognizing that your words carry with them, whether you're using them consciously or unconsciously, it carries with them your direction to the universe saying, here, this is what I'm choosing to create in my life. And if you're saying something like, I have a certain disease, then you're basically reaffirming that you are wanting, quote unquote, that in your life. And so it's really take a step back and really watch what the word choice that you were saying, and I put this up a little bit fast by accident. We were when you're talking about the energy behind words, there was a guy named Dr. Emoto, and he did all these water experiments where you would take like positive words and you would freeze water, and you can see here like the different crystal, like the compositions. They're all these beautiful shapes with joy, love, thank you, wisdom, truth. I got to find another picture here in a moment, but if you look at ones that related to like anger or words like Hitler or they come out very chaotic, and I'll find another one here to bring up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back now. There was a little study that they did on plants and talking to your office plant. And I don't remember where I saw that link, but telling it you love it every day and being kind to it versus somebody they experimented on where you told the plant you hate it, you're a really shitty plant, and all this. And they watched what happened with the plant. And obviously, the plant that was loved and cared for, and you emitted that energy into that plant, it thrived versus the one that was being told it was awful and this and that, negative, more negative terms. It's feeling that energy. They are live beings. So, yeah. Oh,
Now
yeah, cool.
this one wasn't words, but if you look, like these are from different locations throughout the world, and like the river in Japan with like a lot of the pollution and stuff. That wasn't the one I wanted to bring up, but it's a great. Oh, actually, this bottom right one. This is water from a particular location after offering a prayer, and it came out completely differently than the one to the left before offering a prayer. So just right there, looking at the positivity, if you're using words in a skilled way, look at the difference and how it impacts how water would react. And what percentage of water are we, Dr. K? It's a lot, I know,
I
right?
think it's like 90, 95%,
Yeah.
somewhere around
So
there. Yeah.
so if words can do this to water and people are 90 some percent water, what impact are your words having on not just yourself but those around you, like if you're putting out word
Yeah.
vomit? Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was one of them. And then science too. This the last one that I'm going to share with you. This has a whole bunch of different oops, wrong button. This one has a whole bunch of things like the words depression and things like that. So let me get this last one up here. Yeah, so like you can not all these are labeled, of course, but like the one that really comes to my awareness is the one that's labeled as depression, and how just it's like this just energetic blob. And doesn't that describe depression? You're just like, "Rah." So that's the last one I wanted to show, but it gives you really a great,
Scientific proof
yeah,
of
that
what happens since we can't see what goes on.
absolutely.
So, yeah. So when you get in an argument with somebody and you say, "I hate you," you're an effing a whatever, that's coming out. And we talked, I think a lot, was it last week? We talked about, you're throwing things on somebody's windshield on their field. And when that happens over and over and over and over and over, that other person is not going to feel so good, but you're also harming yourself too. It's creating things within you. So there's a really great book that I love. It's kind of written older, but it's the complete works of Florence. Let me see, Florence Scovel Shinn, and it's called the Game of Life and How to Play
Oh,
It.
that was required reading at fellowships when I went through the
Oh
two-year
my
program.
gosh,
It
I
was
couldn't
amazing.
put this book down. When you
It's
read
amazing.
this, and I opened this to a particular, I just happened to like open it today because I'm like, I wonder what things I could, I opened it to this and it says, man's word is his wand filled with magic and power. And I love that line because, and it says, Jesus Christ emphasized the power of the word. By thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned, and death and life in power are in the power of the tongue. I mean, there's so much in this book. This is just, you can change so much in your life just by the power of the words. And I get it. Sometimes when you're tired, you're like, I'm so tired. I'm so depressed. But when you say that over and over, like Hank said, you are embodying that even more. So it does take a little diligence. It does take a little oomph to say, my body may be tired because our soul really isn't. It's our body may be fatigued, our limbs may be fatigued, but we in our essence really kind of are not. So,
Right.
um, yeah.
We have a couple people. Well, we have a question, so I'm just going to acknowledge the people saying good morning, and then we'll get to the question here. But Amber was checking in, saying good morning,
Good morning,
and
Amber.
Mike, good morning, and he said that he was asking people to like and share. Thank you, Mike, for your
Thank
contribution.
you.
And we got our resident comedian Mark saying that he is alive and well despite drinking only mouthwash. And now
I hope
getting
that tasted good going down, Mark.
and for the record, we never said to do that, but Mark is
We
our
did.
resident comedian or whatnot. And
We
so
enjoy that though, so thanks.
and it broke it up all of a sudden. Oh, she posted on. If I was getting to you, Dana, I just was building up to it here. So she was asking, does saying I don't have blank and are in diabetes depression actually still affirm that you have it and don't attract it to you? What I mean is that the universe does not understand grammar and linguistic rules. So by saying the word in relation to yourself, you put the word into your consciousness in relation to yourself. If you have
Yes.
anything going on with like a disease or anything like that, instead of even addressing the disease itself, the way I would go about it is what energy could I be to create a different possibility here in my experience? Because the brain reacts and responds totally differently to a question like that than having an affirmation to begin with. So if you're saying like I am a divine being versus how is it I love being a divine being, it engages some topographical brain maps the brain completely differently. So affirmations are like good, affirmations are like the next step, but instead of focusing on what the issue is, focus on what energy could I be to create something different or to eliminate the energy that was the catalyst for this. And questions like that help you get down to whatever the fueling energy is behind it or whatever the catalyst could be to get you out of it. And then you don't have to affirm or not affirm that you have or don't have the disease at all.
Yeah, the word have and don't, you're right. The universe doesn't understand, doesn't hear the difference between don't. You're still putting I don't have diabetes. You want to, I think, change that. If you're going to do the affirmation, I am healthy, my body is completely healthy, and affirm things like that versus the word do or basically the universe doesn't understand the difference between do or don't. You're still saying you have something. So just saying my body is completely healthy, my pancreas works perfectly, something on without the do or don't, because it won't, it sends a different frequency. So it's, yeah, it's kind of like the way Hank said,
Yeah.
when you say I don't, it's like you still have the negative in there.
Well, and sometimes it actually works. We in Access we use tools like this, and there was this one girl that would come to all these classes, and she would eat a ton of junk food, and she'd be like as thin as a rail. And people would ask, "Well, what's your secret?" And she said that every time she eats anything, she says, "I don't want to be skinny. I don't want to be skinny. I don't want to be skinny." And she was using a play on words because want means to lack. So she was saying, "I don't lack skinny" when she was eating, and she was actually affirming to the universe that she was thin by using a play on words. So you can get really creative with how you use things like this. But I would focus on the energies. What energy could I be to maintain a healthy balance between my body, being, and beyond? And then like focus on that energy because the universe is going to bring that to you. That's going to bring you the ability to have this synergistic relationship with all parts of yourself.
Absolutely. Yep. And really, it's the belief too behind it. So I like to get up every day and I literally write down 10 things I'm grateful for. And I really try to feel it in my body as if it's happening. Because it's one thing to say the word, but I think it helps a lot if you add the belief into it. Feel it as if it's happening. Because sometimes I've told people will say this and they're like, I said it, nothing happened. Well, if you're just saying the words, yes, 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 you are kind of emitting some of that energy. But if you really want to give it an amp boost, then fill it with joy and fill it as if it's really happening. Even if you're not feeling well, just I am healthy. I am healthy. And picture yourself being healthy, because it's the thought pattern also behind your mind and the belief that you have.
Right.
Yeah,
And if you don't have the belief, they'll fake it till you make it.
make it.
when
Yep.
I when I first got sober, my first year was like white knuckling it. And I remember that I also was in a place where I really wanted to help a family member who had the same drinking habits that I had. And there was my sponsor who said self pity and gratitude cannot coexist. And he gave me the
Right.
advice that whenever you find yourself having a pity party because something feels like you're being a victim and you don't have any power over it or whatever the case is, say self pity and gratitude cannot coexist. And even if you don't feel it, put whatever it was into a gratitude statement. So I went from I wish I could help this person but I can't to I'm so grateful that I'm in a place of sobriety that if and when they're ready to have help, I'm in a space to offer it. And at the beginning, it was just wordplay, really. It took about a year for me to
Hmm.
get to the part where there was a shift. And I can't explain exactly when it happened, but I went from just saying the words to actually feeling grateful. And it was like, oh my gosh. And that's when my whole life really shifted. It took about a year and then everything was just different. But I stuck with it. And that I was vigilant about anytime I went to that place of negativity, which is the only true Satan, by the way, seeing anything as negative. You know, I love my acronyms. But I went from anytime I went there, I did a word game to get myself to the opposite side, and not, then I just started being that. So if you can't bring up that feeling of joy behind the words, use the words anyway, fake it till you make it, but really be vigilant in acting opposite, and bringing and doing whatever you can to bring that joyness to your life, and then it
Yep.
starts to become much easier.
I completely concur with that. That's the other 2 points I want to make here is, guys, this is going to take time because I have a lot of, and I used to do this too. I'm like, well, I've written it down and I've said it and nothing's happening. It's been a week. These things can take time, up to 6 to 7 weeks sometimes. The more in gratitude you can be, really, gratitude is the highest vibratory emotion. So the more you can say, what if I really did win $1 million? That will get your brain kind of heading in the different. What if I was
Mhm.
really healthy? What if I healed this? You notice that when you ask that question, the brain
Ooh,
goes,
a question.
oh, what would that be like? And it will give you a picture in your mind of you being healthy, and then you throw in the affirmation.
Because you're after vibration of what it would feel like what, and we use this technique in NLP too, which is neuro linguistic programming. If your client can't get to the place that you're asking them to get to, well, imagine what would it feel like if you could feel that, and then it gives their brain permission to get out of the way and have that experience. Mark was offering too. I always say, make sure your words are sweet. You may have to eat them someday.
That's
And
true.
and then Dana was saying, I found that making up a new word for something can be beneficial. For example, when I had cancer, I said I had a unicorn or a vibraphone. I shifted the energy. That is a
Yeah,
really cool trick
awesome.
because you take it out of the collective consciousness of what cancer
Yes.
is. And
Yep.
that's one reason my teacher for shamanism says, oh, it doesn't matter. You don't have to use Quechua to call in the spirits. But I had a different point of view because when I'm working in ceremony, if I'm speaking in Quechua, people have no clue what I'm talking about. And if I were speaking in English, now they have all these preconceived notions about whatever it is I'm saying. And now they're focusing on the words and not the energy behind the words. So I find that when you don't know what the words are and it's all about the energy, that could add a lot of potency to it.
Yeah,
So,
there's so much. And Dana, that's awesome. Like, I hope your cancer cleared. I mean, that's just an awesome technique, and thanks for that. I think people will really benefit from that. Change the word. Change it. The word has a frequency. Every word carries a frequency. Hate, sadness, love. It all carries a frequency on how it makes somebody feel, and the belief that it starts creating in that person. So definitely, that's a great little tool. And just be patient with this, because this does, if you say a statement over and over and put the belief in it, and what if this really did happen, whatever I want or desire, what would happen? And keep that thought in your mind and say your affirmations and say it 100 times daily if you need to, and even sometimes writing it down on paper 10 times, uh, reaffirms it. It just helps put it on, and then just be patient because it does work. I've used it. It does work. It totally works.
yeah. And Michael is offering this. This is the mantra for access consciousness. All of life comes to me with ease
Ease
and
and
joy
joy.
and glory. And they say you say this 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night. And I can attest. This is what we started using before we opened up the center. We started saying this along with what else is possible and how does it get any better than this. All three of these tools just put us on this trajectory to go from like a one little small office to opening up a healing center. And it was just staying in that space. And
Yeah, so we can keep that up. I don't know if
yeah.
so somebody can write
Oh,
that down.
oh, I'll
Yeah,
put it up
guys,
on the banner too. But she said
yeah.
she's been unicorn free for 5 years now.
Awesome, dude. I'm so glad to hear that. The power of your word enough can make such huge changes if you allow it. If you allow it. So guys, if you want to write this little line down for yourselves, I mean, that would be a great start. And there's so much in this book, from whatever you want. You want health, you want eyesight, you want whatever it is that it, I should see, I'm using use want. Desire, want mimics lack. So when you're like, I want, what do you feel inside when you want? I feel kind of desperation. I need it right now. So that means you don't have it versus using the word desire, or what's a different word maybe they can use versus desire that
No,
flows.
because desire even is about, like you're saying, you don't have it in your immediate future. I always would do a question. I would say, what energy could I be to actualize whatever it is in my life with total ease? And ask that question because you're bringing up the energy that you need to bring yourself to. And so you have that energy in this hand. And then the next question you ask, everything that would not allow that to occur. Now you have the heavy energy in this hand, and then use whatever energy technique you want to get rid of this so you can step into that. And so it's about identifying the place you are looking to go and the whatever's holding you back and dealing with both at once, and then it really fast tracks your ability to bring it into your life.
Yeah, totally. And if you feel like you're stuck somewhere and you're not moving, one line you can say is, I think I can. I think I can do XYZ or handle XYZ or talk to XYZ or whatever it is that you need to do. When you say I can't, slap it. Just slap. When you clap, it changes the energy of something. So you want kind of want to do that, whenever you say something that's maybe not so great. But that's saying I think I can gets you into a totally different vibration and can get you moving. And that's
Or
yeah.
instead, also you could, instead of saying I think I can, say maybe, or no, I don't like that one either. What would it take? What would it take for me to actualize this? And we all have the power in it. I just, or I know I can. You're an infinite being. There's nothing
Right.
you can't do. And acknowledging, I know I can do this. The only question is, what steps could I take to bring it to me with ease? And Dana was also offering that drawing a picture of the desire is helpful too, because
Yeah.
it's non-linguistic.
Yeah. So there's the whole um what do they call them? The vision boards? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah.
can do vision boards too. You just have to have the right energy too, because if you're constant, it's one thing to, I think, put the vision board up, but then, and you stare at it in the morning and you do a little affirmation, but then come lunchtime, you're out there at work and you're MFing somebody and saying life sucks. You've already pulled that back. You're going against the laws of the universe. You have to you have to catch yourself and not do
Yeah.
that.
I use the analogy of a rowboat. Like once you put something out to the universe, it only knows, yes, I'm going to realign the entire cosmos to bring this to you, whether it happens in this lifetime or next. It's going to happen. But where we fall short is, one, we keep changing our minds. Like how often do we look that we're doing one thing and the next moment we're doing another thing, and we have no consistency or congruency with whatever it is we're choosing to bring into our life. So every
Yep.
2 seconds, the universe starts
It's
shifting
shifting.
to
Yeah.
do. So it's like, will you make up your mind? you know so, like, if you have your vision board, you set that up in the morning, and then throughout the entire day, everything that you do and all the states that you're being, align it with whatever you're choosing to create for yourself. And what it is the universe has already started rowing. And now, if you don't do your part and start rowing with it, all you do is row in a circle and you have no forward momentum. But if you start your stride hitting that effort with the universe, now you have that good orderly direction, acronym for God, right? Now you have that good orderly direction, and you're actually moving towards your target and actualizing the things in your life instead of putting it out there one time, set it and forget it like a slow cooker. That will work, but it might take lifetimes instead of instantly with ease.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this happens a lot. So is some people are like, well, I've been saying this for 6 weeks and nothing's happening. Well, you do watch what you're doing throughout the rest of the day. You start off in the morning and you say your affirmations, or you're in the car like sometimes I drive and say my affirmations because there's so much you can do. Just you don't have to spend that time. You can do it in your car. And then you get to work and you're pissed off because of your boss and life sucks. Then you're like, life sucks, man. Like, just like life sucks. So you've already turned whatever energy you've put forth, you've now taken a few steps backwards. And then you come home for lunch, and then I don't know, pissed off about something else, or it was a bad day. And then you sit down at night and you redo I'm going to do my affirmations. Okay, now you've put some energy forth, but it's like, it's bringing the awareness of, oh, okay, I'm not going there with this. I'm just going to keep saying my affirmation again and putting that energy forward, not backward, because we
That's
reverse
something
stuff.
in the comments, if someone's watching and you are in the place where you feel life sucks, I'm posting a link to my friend Param. He's a professor at Baldwin Wallace.
Oh,
He
he
has
had a
traveled.
great talk. I loved
He
it.
Yeah, this is the 16-minute version. If you like that version, on his Facebook page, if you look up Why Life Sucks, there's like a 5 hour version of this. But start with the 16-minute one. He was on TED Talks, and he was been asked to travel the country to going to different corporations doing motivational speaking for his seminar, Why Life Sucks: A Global Voyage to Overcome the Misery of Everyday Living. And don't be fooled by the title. It is rich with metaphysics, but the way he presents it, it is tailored for the people that are in that energy of just life sucks, and they don't even know that when they're going to the workshop, they're getting metaphysics delivered in such an amazing, fun way that it gets deep into the soul. And if people months and years after, even he gets emails about how just taking his one class changed their life so much. So do yourself a favor. It's a great little
It
60-minute
is.
TED talk, and then
Yep.
take a deeper dive on the bigger video. If you like that, you'll love the 5 hour version.
Yeah, it's great. It's all about changing your perspective in life. It really is. And yeah, sometimes that's a challenge for people. I had one client that um, she had the belief that, we were talking, and her husband came in and we were talking about, I said, you weren't designed to be sick. And her husband chimes in with, yes, but we've sinned. Very Christian people. And I said, okay, if you're holding this belief pattern that um, we've sinned and God is punishing us for our sins, you will remain in this pattern because
Point of view
this is your
creates
belief.
reality. Yeah.
And
Point
so
of view
this
creates
ties
reality.
into the words. The words are a piece of it, um, because I gave her an affirmation to say, a pretty long one, like every cell in my body is healthy. And because I wanted to shift her mind, and she's like, I can't do it. Every cell in my body is not healthy. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she wouldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, this is the challenge because I explained to her the goal of that. No, maybe you're not at this very second, but that can change so quickly. Just by doing this little paragraph of affirmations, you were sending a message to your brain to start sending a message to your cells, hey, we're starting to get healthy. And she wouldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, I have to find another way in for this one. Um, so it's tricky. Our brains really get in the way. We get in the way of our own progress and moving forward. So that's just, another example. It gets really tricky, but these are simple things you can do to start changing your life now and start changing your health or whatever condition it is that you have, and believe that it can change, and just be patient. Because if you come to me and be like, well, I've done this for a week and nothing's happened, like Hank said, it took him a year. I mean, just be diligent and know there is, without a doubt, the universe will deliver. You stay on course, keep rowing your boat forward, and it
I
will
love the row your
deliver.
boat analogy. It's just great. Spirit gave me that one day. I was like, oh man, that is like such a great way to say how it works. And Mark was saying he has the thing, don't sacrifice your future for the pleasure of the present, are words that he lives by.
Yeah.
And
Well,
barely offering her affirmation that she has a wonderful job with wonderful pay, working with wonderful people. And then to that, I would say, how does it get
yes.
any better than
Better
this?
than this.
Because if
Yeah.
you say that, whether you just stubbed your toe or you just won the lottery, you put out to the universe in every single instant, how does it get any better than this? And energetically, the universe says, oh, this is how you get better. This is another way where it even gets even more amazing than that. And you start this upward spiral. And so it doesn't matter what happened in your day, you throw out to the universe, how does it get any better than this? And it continues to show you.
Yeah. And so, yeah, when you send out those frequencies, it makes a huge difference. And um, that this is something I really love to preach and teach about, and I think Hank does too, because it's really amazing stuff. And I had another thought, and that just fleeted my mind. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, one
but
thing, since we're talking about words, to give you some Quechua words, you could say iari, which means, well, I will say the whole thing first, and then we'll tell you what it means. Iari wilka nuna kuna hompui ompui ompui. And so if you were to say that every day, you're basically saying victory and praises to all my soul parts, to all my soul. Ompui 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 means come here, but it also means heal what the soul's already healed. And it's a word that's acknowledging that throughout space and time in this ever present moment of now, somewhere there exists a you that doesn't have whatever it is that you're struggling with. And by finding that part of you that hasn't been wounded, it helps you heal the wound because you're acknowledging that there is no wound in a sense. So it's kind of a cool little wordplay. And if you like to use a little Quechua, "Iari wilka nuna kuna ompui ompui ompui." So you can add that to your repertoire if you want a little
You have to
non.
type that out.
I can't spell that stuff, man. That's a non-phonetic language. They, they they didn't. They had no written language. They would tie their stories into little knots, and you would like run your finger, and then you'd feel the vibration of the knot, and then tell the story. They had no written language.
Wow,
Well,
that's
I'll do my. I'll write it phonetically. I'll write it phonetically. So
or
e
say it. Yeti, I got. I don't got the
yadi
middle, and I got the ompui 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 at the end. I don't have the chocolate frosting in the middle.
ilka nuna kuna, and then ompui. It actually begins with an H. Sounds like hompui hompui hompui.
I wouldn't even know how to spell that.
There is no spelling. Well, I mean, after the Spanish conquered, there was like Spanish phonetics, but these people were just recently discovered like a little bit ago. I don't like the spelling, but I guess like E-R-E, Wilka. I said Wilka. It's not. It's supposed to be W-I. Let me fix it because that's so Wilka. Wilka. There we go. Like Willy Wonka. No, Wilka. Iari Wilka Nuna Kuna.
Kuna.
Nuna is soul. Kuna means plural. So sacred soul parts. Humpwy, humpwy, humpwy. And we say it three times: one for the lower world, middle
It
world, and
looks
upper
like
world.
Humpy Humpy Humpy.
No, humpwy. Humpwy. I told you I don't know how to spell this stuff.
I would
Uh,
make HOMPWEE.
no, there's no O in it. I know there's no O in it, but let me see. If I have Zane's book over here, I could look in the glossary. I know he has some Spanish phonetic spellings, but it doesn't matter how you spell it. The energy behind it is take calling in all of your soul and all the places that you exist, both known and unknown, because we're way more than just this perceived reality, and calling all of that back to you with the perfect blueprint for the places that where you're wounded now, you're not wounded elsewhere, and you're just
Yeah.
kind of taking that paper doll and folding it in on itself so you can be a total being in this ever present moment.
I think I don't know if another topic that would be good would be really attachment to life, because that's the other thing I see a lot of is how attached we are to things with COVID going on. And now we're getting off on a tangent, but it came in, so I'm saying it.
Oh,
But
well,
just
everybody,
how
we're in that thick of it with COVID, so it's never off topic.
people are dying, people are dying, people are dying. Yes, it's a part of the cycle of life, and how that's going to happen, nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly how they're going to exit this planet. The only thing that's guaranteed in life is that we will exit the planet. We don't often know how. So there's a lot of attachment to, I'm so sorry for the loss of your loved one. You really didn't lose anything. And I'm not trying to be insensitive by saying this. You didn't lose anything because you didn't own this person. So we have to celebrate life. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it may be not the way we want it. I don't know how we all perceive that we're going to leave. Do we all think that it's just going to be, I don't know, we're just going to disappear off the planet? I we haven't gotten to that point yet where people are just disappearing off the planet, although the Bible says that people are just going to disappear. That's an interpretation. So a lot of people are leaving the planet right now. A lot of animals are leaving the planet right now. The manner in which we leave the planet is not for us to really know, or maybe it is. Hank, you can comment on that. Not
Uh,
all of us know the
well,
manner in which that's going to happen.
for everybody, it's different, of course. But the main thing, like the book that I really recommend for shifting points of view around death, is a book called Home with God: A Life That Never Ends. It's by Neil Donald Walsh, and they call the experience of dying, they call it the continuation day. And it's just that consciousness never ends, it merely changes form, and whichever means it is, whether you're dying from natural causes or you become a highly evolved being and you learn how you can just take your physical body with you and just fade out of existence, or whatever the case is, you're continuing on to something different. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And but I see a lot of, there's different levels of awareness for everybody right now. And I think Hank and I really try to bring different upper levels of awareness so that there's things that, I didn't know about 10 years ago. And now that I know, I was like, wow, there's a lot of people that just aren't aware of all these things that we talk about that are outside of the box that can be so helpful. But there's a lot of attachment to death. And the line that I was saying in a lot of my other videos is, when do we get to the point that we fear death so much that we're not living right now? And that's what's happening. A lot of people are so afraid to leave their homes because of autoimmune disorders, because that they're not even living life. And I think a lot of governments are putting that on us, that we are so afraid to just continue living life despite what's going on. Is the virus going to get you? I don't know, but you got to continue living your life, because life here on this planet is very short. What are you going to contribute? How are you going to be?
How are you going to be?
How are
Yes.
you going to be? What are you going to do at this time?
And I know Mark was joking with this comment. A different Mark. We have all Marks seem to be comedians here, but he was saying that when he stuffs a comfort in his mouth whenever he stubs his big toe in the corner of the bed frame, does mumbling words okay? Really, if you stubbed your toe and in the thick of it you're dealing with the pain or whatnot, but you actually went to use one of these tools, half the battle right there is you started to not react to the experience, but you went to a different place to ask the question, how does it get any better than this? And whether you mumbled it or not, energetically, you got the intention out there. And more importantly, you're not just being a victim of reaction, you are stepping out of that and choosing something different. So,
Maybe you say F and then you follow it with the how can it get better than
right.
this? Because the physical body will feel the pain. It's an instantaneous neuroreceptor that hits and goes to your brain and goes, ooh, this was not comfortable. But then follow it up maybe with something else so you don't carry that energy through.
And the more and more aware you are, you might get to the point where you no longer stub your toe on the bed because you have the awareness that the corner is there. As my
Yeah,
kids do that all the time. They do the same silly stuff over and over, and then finally there's a shifting point where they change, they choose something different because this thing has repeated enough. I'm like, well, I mean, if you were a little bit more aware, would that have happened? Well, I don't know. I'm like, well, next time, see what happens if you're a little bit more aware. And lo and behold, eventually it shifts. So it's in AA we would say it's spiritual progress, not perfection. You just start good orderly direction wherever you're going to start, and you continue to improve and improve, and don't judge yourself for not having it perfect. Oh, that was the thing. You mentioned the word sin earlier. It's just one of my favorite little
oh
words.
yeah.
The word sin was originally an archery term, and it literally means to miss the mark.
Yes,
And what I
somebody else
like,
told me that.
it might have been on a previous stream. I know it's come up at least once before,
No,
but
this was another friend that actually told me that. I'm like, okay, I got to research it. But go ahead and tell us. Yeah.
yeah, so but here's the thing, like if you are looking at somebody else and you're judging them as sinning, if like thinking with this archery analogy, if you're the archer and you shoot, okay, and you don't hit the bullseye, no one really knows what you were aiming at. The only person that can judge or know if you missed the mark or not is yourself. And so looking at anybody else's situation, to not judge because you don't know their path to the soul and what they're aiming for and what is purposeful for them, even if it might be contradictory or counterintuitive as to what we would choose. Maybe they're exactly where they need to be for whatever their evolution happens to be.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Judgment's another funny thing. And so this is pretty much on topic, but when we judge others, we are actually number one hurting ourselves. And we do it so often and so easily. And especially right now, you get on Facebook, it is just like, wow, it is just through the roof. The amount of judgment of others all over a face mask. I mean, just so let people have their other opinions, and I think the way to tackle that is just say how interesting their point of view is, just interesting, and pull yourself back and just don't go in and judge them, because judgment will crash your prosperity like nothing else. So when you put judgment on others, you're hurting yourself
yeah.
more than you're creating
Any
something.
judgment is something that locks you and cements you into duality. Duality is the place where we have the illusion that we have good and bad, right and wrong, separate, like that we're separate from each other. And any judgment where you're saying something's good or bad, it's like putting just another little layer of cement to hold you into the illusion. And that tool that Dr. K just mentioned, that's interesting. That is a way for everything to do that. Like even if you find yourself judging you, be like, well, interesting point of view that I have that point of view, and start to take the edge off of that, because the more judgments you can step out of and just be an allowance of the situation, not accepting it, agreeing with it or resisting or reacting to it, doing neither of those things, just being an allowance of it.
Yep.
Now it frees you to choose anything you like to be in creationship instead of relationship to that, and then everything shifts. So
Yeah.
yeah, all judgment, and the good ones are the hardest ones, like because like if you judge something as good, it's working for you, right? And so like those stick us worse than the ones that are bad, quote unquote, because the bad ones we might recognize and we want to change something about it, but the good ones, oh, that's working for me, I'll just leave it. But that's still cementing into the duality. So how free do you want to be? And
Yeah,
it's
judgment's a big one.
and Anna was saying, when it comes to COVID, I like to shift safety practices to be around thoughts of love and compassion for self and others versus fear. It makes it all lighter and brighter.
I love that. If everybody could have that point of view, we would be in such a better place. We would be with this whole thing, we'd be in such a better place because what I'm seeing so much of is division. The amount of division right now is just wow. And and it wasn't so much in the beginning when this started, but as we're progressing, as the riots are happening, as the governments tell us different things, more and more people are coming with more and more judgments and more opinions. We're judging Trump, we're judging our governors, judging the people around us. I really had to pull back and say, I'm not going to be part of the division. I'm just going to allow everybody to have their opinions, and allow me to have mine. But judgments are so sneaky because I have done it so many times, even though I really try not to do it because I know what it does. I've done it. I can't believe that person did that. I can't believe they said that. I can't believe the governor. I judged the governor the other day because I was like, there's something on it. He's just an idiot. There's people, it just happens, and it just catch yourself. Just catch
Yep.
yourself and cut
That's
the
the thing.
cords and delete,
Notice
delete,
and then
delete.
choose different.
Yep.
Notice and choose different. Noticing is 90% of the battle, because once you
Yes.
notice that you're in the reaction mode, you can start to choose to respond instead of to
Yep.
react, and then your whole world changes. And I give the analogy, I think I mentioned it on the other stream, that allowance is like the rock in the stream. If all the energies of the world are coming at you, right, and you align and agree with those energies, that rock gets washed downstream. If you resist and react to all the energies, you're putting all your energy to try to push back all this water, and that rock gets whittled down to a grain of sand and eventually gets washed downstream. Allowance is the ability to stand amongst the energy of everything that you are experiencing and just be you for the authentic true self that you are, and not
Right.
be affected by the flow of energy around you. That's allowance, because you're not judging it. But you judge any of that, you're either flowing or you're pushing against, and your energy isn't being able to be used then to be the authentic you and expressing into this world. So yeah.
And it's much easier to allow than it is to resist, really. And the more you catch yourself judging, the less you'll start judging because you'll catch yourself and you'll know, hey, ooh, I am like throwing boomerangs at people and they're hurting people. And unless some people want to hurt people, but it's going to boomerang back to you. That's the thing. Whenever you throw this boomerang out to somebody, it's going to circle back to you and create something in your life. Like they say, when there's chaos within, there will be chaos without. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So if
Oh,
there's a lot of hate, anger, and resentment, what
no, this is from before, but you were talking about the boomerang coming back. This is exactly what was Mark
yeah.
was saying. Make sure your words are sweet. You may have to eat them someday. That boomerang comes back and whaps you.
Yes.
Right.
And we are not even aware. We are not even aware sometimes when we hate on somebody and then all of a sudden something happens in our life and you can stop yourself and be like, oh crap, I may have attracted this to myself. So if you have drama inside of you, then there's going to be drama around you. And if there's chaos and unsettlement within you, there's going to be a lot of chaos around you, meaning I don't know, your mother-in-law's on your case, your car breaks down. There's just going to be a lot of chaos. So you're best to really work on yourself. And I tell people always to bring it back to themselves and work on the inner stuff, because then your whole outward world will change.
Yep.
And guys, we're human. We still have a human body. We still have a human programming of the mind. There's very few awakened souls on the planet that are just not affected by these things. Stuff will creep in. The goal is to catch it and cut the cords and move on and be aware so you don't do it again. And you'll get so much better at it.
I've never had an acronym for love before. Linda, thank you for this. Love
Uh,
is live one vibrational energy. Ooh,
I love that. It's such cool acronyms today. I love the
yes.
participation. I didn't think this was going to be a hot topic, but there's more participation in this than I thought. So that's really cool.
That's great. When there's even more. So Mark was offering, you're going to have a lot more energy by not judging. Wait, you're going to have a lot more energy by not judging, but listen and not chase your tail. And then
Absolutely.
Anna was offering, I can't think of the rise in these judgments and negativity are also creating a perfect petri dish for growth of the infection.
You betcha. You betcha
You
it
know,
is.
no, and
Oh,
with the infection, and you could tell me, I know Dr. K is way more up on it than I am, but if I understand correctly, vitamin D deficiency was one of the indicators of people that are impacted more heavily by it.
yeah,
Are
that's
people
the new thing that they're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, the the reason I highlight that particularly, my teacher Zane was saying that wherever this virus came from, whether you think it was a natural thing or a dish somewhere or whatever the case, that it's representative. The experience of it is representative of us being out of balance with the mother, meaning Pachamama and the earth. And it was a wake up call to get people to start getting back to their center. And when the
Hmm.
world got paused, we're just being with ourselves and our soul. It that the take the moment, like you said, do your inner work, get in touch with the inner you, get in touch with the congruent self, and also go out to nature, because that's where the magic's at for me anyway. And start really shifting how we're operating in the world and recognizing we are one humanity. And what if
Yeah.
we were to act like one humanity instead of all these different nations and races and everything else?
Yeah, and we've gotten off track. I feel, I mean, I'm very sensitive to what the energies of what's going on. We started off decently. I think a lot of people did get back to nature. I think a lot of people did get back into the household and pulled things in and started relooking at things. But then they opened everything up, and then the riots happened, and now there's just so we're off. And so it's not shocking to me that the virus is shifting and changing because theoretically, in the beginning when we started, it was, and the science is always shifting on this, and they don't know that nobody knows. Like there's always a new thing, but the virus essentially was killed by drinking something warm, keeping your nasal passages and your throat warm, and heat. And so I really kind of thought, okay, great. Well, summer is going to come, and theoretically, from the flu of 1918, they had people outside the pandemic, and people were getting better with warm weather. We're not finding that that's happening, or maybe it's being skewed. Not maybe, it is being skewed. I'm a firm believer of that.
Well, that will
But
all change now that the medical information is not going to the CDC and right to the White House. I'm sure we'll get all the right information now.
we hope, but the testing is being done. Like I'm hearing all these different things that they're calling people saying your test is positive. They're like, we didn't even take a test. So it's like I'm hearing all these things. And yesterday I heard a second story. This is the second time I'm hearing this too, and we're getting off topic. But that they are in New York, they are actually killing people. Like the doctors are laughing about it. And this story I heard, and I can't confirm it, but it's a person of a person that there were people in the morgue in the body bags going, oh, that they were on ventilators and they had literally suffocated them enough that they were, they're on their edge and they already put them in a bag. So I heard multiple things about ventilators in New York. Um, so it's guys, we're growing this and making it worse.
That's not good.
No,
I hope
but
that that's not
it's
true.
a lot
But
of I hope that's not true. I've heard it from two sources though, so I know that they are being reimbursed for people that are put on ventilators, and it was quite a hefty amount.
well, I'll throw out a what else is
So,
possible with that.
yeah, we'll just leave that because I'm not a negative energy person. But
And how does it get any better than this?
yeah. So we'll put it back though. Just yes, we have to, I think, get back on being cautious about the anger and what we're throwing out on Facebook. Because yes, as Anna said, it was back to Anna's statement, it is growing, it is perpetuating the virus, and that's not the point of this whole thing. The point is to bring us back to the collective consciousness, get us to wake up and get us to choose a different way and be a better way. Um,
Just putting Anna's comment back up
yeah,
since we were kind of talking about that still.
it's not, it's contributing to the problem. And I've, you know, said this multiple times and I'll continue to say it and hoping that people hear it, because what I got at 4 in the morning this morning is they need to be open to hearing the truth. And people are, I'm not sure where people are on this whole thing. Um,
No, we're doing
so
a book discussion on, it's called Awaken the Species. It's book 4 of Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. We're going to be doing chapters 10 through 15 on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And the reason I bring it up is if you want to pick up a copy of the book or borrow from the library, we're going through it now. It's like the perfect time because it's talking about humanity really waking up and starting to choose as a species and going from human doings to human beings. And what it talks about is that you don't have to start by changing the world overnight. And this is going to sound very familiar from what Dr. K said. You start by looking at you
Yourself. Yep.
and getting in and raising your own vibration and surrounding yourself with similar frequency and making choices that you can control your immediate surroundings, and then it starts to make this ripple effect because you have your little group of
Exactly.
people that then affect this bigger ring, that then affect this bigger ring, and before you know it, if everybody truly started to go within and do their inner work and start to choose only what feels light, there would be this rippling effect. And they talk about this Maharishi effect, where when a certain
Yeah.
percentage of the population reaches a certain awareness, that awareness jumps to the rest of the species. So what if we started doing that and we tipped the scale and actually started operating as a unified species instead of all the separation? What would the world look like in a year?
That's a great book. It really is a great book. So I highly encourage everybody, if you're available, to go through that and get a little feel for that. That would be, fantastic, because that is what's needed.
Yep. And if you're in the YouTube stream, if you go back, you can bring up the book discussions for chapters 1 through 5 and 5 through 10, and you can bring yourself up to speed just listening to that. If you don't have time to read the book, you don't. We're not making like we're not checking with people. Did you read the book? Okay, you can't watch the stream. You're fine to just show up anyhow. But if you want to go back, it's like two. I think they were just hour calls, so you can go back. It was me and Sean Phillips that brought it up. And if you have questions, then just like how we're interacting with you, me and Dr. K are interacting with you, Sean and I do the same. And if you're reading that too, Dr. K, you're welcome to actually join us on screen if you want to be part of the conversation. So
Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're
What time
always
is it
welcome.
again?
It's
Because
7
sometimes
p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
okay, I can probably do the 7 p.m.
And I'll put the name up in a banner. It's called Awaken the Species.
What day is that again? Tell me, because
It's Tuesday.
okay, I should
Yep.
be able to make Tuesday.
Tuesdays at 7. Yeah.
I know you go on. I'll make myself a note. Yeah, that's the more you can do right now to do internal work, the better. And I think if you want to manifest anything in your life, this is the place to start, with your words and saying some of the statements that we gave you, like that, just that simple one, that we did, that Hank put up a little bit ago. Start simple. Say that every single day, just every single day, as many as you times as you can. Remember, while you're driving is a great time. What else are you going to do while you're driving? Turn off the radio and just say this stuff over and over, and just feel it in your system. Do it in the morning, do it in the evening. Try to catch yourself doing it during lunch. While you're driving is great. We spend a lot of time in our cars. That's a great time to do this and to ponder some of these things, and just be patient, because you can manifest. You really, really can manifest whatever you'd like. You just have to have the right frequency and say the right things.
Absolutely. And if you use that affirmation, I'll put this back up, which was the mantra of access.
Yeah.
All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and
Joy and
glory,
glory.
and start to align everything you choose. Does this help to bring my life to a place of ease, joy, and glory? And if the answer is no,
No,
don't choose
don't.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, and
Exactly.
they say like you start choosing what feels light in your life, you're going to bring more lightness to your life, and it doesn't have to be overnight. But you come up with the energy. Where do you want your life to? What would you like your life to look like in 5 years? Get the energy of it, and everything that you do in awareness, choose only what is going to take you there. You're rowing the boat
Exactly.
with the universe, and if you really can be clear with that question, it doesn't have to take long.
Absolutely.
What
If
would
you're
it
in
take?
the more receptivity and allowance, the faster this comes. We get in our own way, really. And I love the line of it. Actually, if you break it down, it's row, row, row your boat, not somebody else's, gently, gently down the stream of life. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
That just really puts it into context, doesn't it? That's great.
So, yeah, you can manifest anything. So use these things. And yes, I think the best thing to do is when you're making choices in life, that's a great, great anecdote, Hank, is just, is this going to bring me joy? Is this for my highest and best? Is this going to get me to my destination? If the answer, and you'll get the gut answer, no, then don't do it. And then follow through. Some people are like, well, no, but I'm going to do it anyway.
And that's
You,
fine. Do what you do, but
Yeah,
How
but
free
that's
do you want to be?
yeah,
How free do
exactly.
you choose to be?
How free do you choose to be? If you don't feel like, should I go visit my mother-in-law? Is that really going to bring me joy?
No.
No. Well, then don't do it. You know,
That's
find,
why
I
I haven't
know,
gone to Germany in like the last 3 or 4 trips.
shh. I mean, sometimes we're on this planet, we have to do duties, but maybe make that less. If going to visit your mother-in-law every single Sunday because you feel you have to is pulling you down, maybe make that once a month. We always have a choice. We always have a choice to do something or not to do something if it's in our highest and best or not in our highest and best. And that gets a little tricky sometimes because I know we have duties and I know we have things we have to do that's part of our life, but make that less. Choose more things that will bring you joy and then do the affirmations like we said, and things will change for you. They absolutely will change. And if you need help, we're here. I mean, if you want to take things to a higher level and clean up the energy, Hank and I can help you with that because energy and what you're carrying and your belief systems, if you're like, I'm saying this, but it's not feeling good, then there'll be maybe some congestion somewhere that just needs a little loosening. And then when you start saying the affirmations, they'll feel a whole lot better.
And
So maybe you
speaking of,
need a
we
little
will be
something.
doing a clinic shortly. We just have to pick a day. And
Yeah.
we also, I'm not sure like what you're going to use with it. Like we can either use the center or your office. So depending, I could bring some stuff down, but we can talk about that. But we'll be announcing like a little clinic where you can
Yes.
come in and get like a 20-minute session. We're going to work out the details. We'll probably be talking about that here in the next day or so and get that by their next stream or sooner. We'll have that date for anybody who's local anyway to come in person, and maybe we can do a virtual version. We
We
should think
can.
about
We
that.
might be able to do that separately because maybe do a day where we do virtual
Right.
clearings and a day that we do in-person clearings because trying
Right.
to do both, I think, maybe a
Because I'm
little.
sure I know from some of the people I know from other streams, not everybody's local that's watching us, which is great. If you're watching and you're not local, thank you for being here, and we're happy to get the information out. And
Yeah.
also, if you're going to go back and watch on the replay, please share the video, start a watch party, help spread the contagion of consciousness. It's the thing that
Yes.
we actually do need to spread.
That's why we're here. That's why
Yeah.
Hank and I are here and higher level beings are here to help, spread this positivity at a time that we really need it because I'm even feeling there's so little joy right now. Just yeah, people are needing a cleanup. They're needing more joy. These affirmations are great. Saying these things with positive vibe will make you feel better. They will make you feel better. So,
Just acknowledging these last few comments, and then we'll wrap so we can make sure we can get this on Instagram here. But Mark was saying that we're correct that awareness and being heart centered is a control center to change, to any change.
absolutely, Mark. Thanks.
And the other Mark, we all have bad habits of not listening. It is crucial to listen to our words and truly listen when others are speaking to you.
It is a bad habit. We don't listen. We're such bad kids.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said we don't
No, I'm
listen.
kidding. I
Yeah,
heard
I
you.
got it. I'm like, yeah,
Um,
but totally. Thanks for that.
and I'm going to bring up this affirmation one more time to end on. Linda Marie said, "Love is live one vibrational
Vibrational
energy."
energy. I
Good
love it.
orderly
Thank you,
direction.
Linda.
You're very welcome. And we will
Awesome.
catch you next. Well, please join us next Tuesday for the Conversations with God discussion group if you'd like. That's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, also on the HHH YouTube. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And so it helps us get served more organically by Google and YouTube and all that. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We certainly appreciate that. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.